So I think at some point between the start of the pandemic and today, I came to realize that my generation, I'm borderline, but I am a millennial. By most definitions make the millennial generation start in 1981. That's the year I was born. And at some point between the start of the pandemic and being home all day, being secluded and isolated from society, from that point and the moment when we started talking meme like about the great resignation, a movement that started, of course, in United States, as everyone knows now. Well, between those two moments, I got exposed to many literature books. I was exposed to many books. Two of them are really um, something to check out. One is called The Burnout Generation by Anne Helen Peterson, and the other one is called Can't Even by the same person. But I was exposed to this kind of documentation that talked about what are we experiencing, we millennials. And of course, it's gonna be millennials because the transition is happening with us. Again, it happened with the internet, and it's happening with this absence or this vanishing of the typical industrial promise that all previous generations before us got to take advantage for longer than us, the millennials. And again, I'm borderline because I'm at the edge of it. If you were born in 1990 or 1992, you are a millennial as well, and you are surely more impacted by this transition than I am. But what comes to mind after reading this material about what is happening to millennials in this time, in this day and age, it's almost as if it was a description of the promise of the industrial age society breaking apart. And and that and sorry for the grunting. And that has many, of course, many faces. We millennials experimented it firsthand, so we don't need anyone to tell us. But the way we lived in the first part of our lives, between 20 and 30, being light, not owning things, having more value put into traveling and being free than to be into the promises, is a fine tuning of the society, the age group reading into what's happening. So if you give me this and I don't like it, then I move away, and that seems to put the responsibility on the people, on millennials. You have no commitment. You like to wander around. You don't like to stay in one place. Why can't you just get the mortgage or whatever? But statistically speaking, things move the other way, in opposite direction. Jobs, industrial jobs that were 35-year long careers disappeared completely from the fabric of value added, and from geography as well. They moved away. They were moving away for some times, but now they are elsewhere. If they are in the same format, that I severely doubt that's the case. I don't know China or Asia Pacific in detail, but I don't think that promise is valid there either. So yeah, of course, we we started like doing this free foraging of the world, but that was mainly because the world was changing below our feet, and we just reacted to it. But that doesn't change the boar per se. We were the first ones to see it, but it didn't change. It was the same as before. Again, our parents did not go through this. They were told that they needed to study and get into a good job and retire and have a good pension. And by the time they did that, their house was paid for and whatnot. So, different life. In all fairness, I must say, here in Uruguay, that's still the case. Yeah, that here you have the big industrial promise still. People still do that, and of all ages. But it's 3.5 million people, so it doesn't count really. For the rest of us, we had to go out there and get our boar every day. And that took some nasty profiling. The most, the I think the harshest of which is permalancing. Is this kind of free, kind of non-attachment relationship, work relationship that we build with clients, but in a nutshell, it's a client that is the only client we have, and it takes more hours than the day has, and so you can't leave it you can't leave it behind because it's the one paying for your whole set of bills right now. But at the same time, you can't spend the time to get a new client because you're working for the current client and they don't pay you well, and you start this cycle of trying to get the boar, and you never actually get the whole boar. You never actually conceptually get a full piece of what you're searching for. But the boar is the same. You're stuck, but the boar is the same. And so for us millennials, breaking up this thing looks like a big lie. So there's no more industrial promise. There's no more a 35-year-old career. And if I want to add value by myself, then statistically speaking, I get stuck with a client that, yep, it pays, but it doesn't allow for me to grow. It doesn't allow for me to improve. And the boar I need to hunt down and bring home keeps wandering around. It's the same boar. It changes, of course. And getting out of that cycle is painful. It's not that natural to get out of that cycle. And this description of how the millennials are behaving is of course permeating. It's making its way into other parts of generationally divided society. So because of course Gen Xers are aware of this as well. They might have longer, stabler jobs than millennials have, but the ones coming behind, the ones coming behind, the Gen Z is also seeing this, and they are focusing on getting their 35-year-old careers back. It's kind of cyclic, we can say, and it might get even worse for some time because now the industry is not ready for you. It's not ready for you to be 20 years old and try to get into a career that needs to outlast your labor life. We're not ready. The industry configured itself to have little bits and pieces of freelancing tasks that we can split around and just distribute around the world, and we don't have a career anymore. That's it. the bore is eternal, didn't go anywhere. Yeah, the hiatus of 250 years might have made us forget about it for some time. But right now, for people trying to make it out there, for people jumping from job to job for a 2% increase in salary, from even for companies trying to get talent that can stay in the job for some time. Sorry, it's really difficult. We are misconfigured. And I really think the reason is we are not making our peace with the fact that things have changed. We need to recognize that the effort is different, and we need to start thinking about our lives in a day-to-day basis. Our span of projects needs to become shorter. And this is really painful because we want the fucking house. We want to plan for the vacation next year. Yeah, we do. We do. But the world is not there anymore. And so, as excruciating as that is, this effort of permalancing, this burnout that the whole millennial generation is experiencing, and yeah, why not? This realization that the promise is not there anymore, and this massive resignations throughout the world might be the shaking we needed. So I wanna know what you think. What do you guys think? I'm having views but not comments. So leave your comments in the box and let's start a conversation about this, the eternal bore. If you liked what you heard, subscribe, like, turn on the notifications, and come by. Until next time.